Welcome back, everybody. Today's video is going to be talking about countering some of the most annoying heroes in Dota, ones I've definitely heard a lot about. And we're going to be starting today with Bristleback. So Bristleback is most notably good against Summons heroes. The reason why he's good against Summons heroes is because Summons heroes rely on poking you down with these little critters. But what he's also good against, generally speaking, is ranged heroes that don't have good sustain. While on the other hand, heroes that do benefit from hitting you a bunch of times and also have either their own built-in sustain or are natural Silver Edge builders with break, these are his worst matchups. I think he can be countered by pretty much every single role. So it's mostly supports that make it difficult for him to spellcast, like the Silencer and the Shadow Demon, but then it's carries that counter him in lane, and then it's offlaners that counter him in game. The best way for Bristle to play is to literally barrel down lanes. Basically, the whole point of Bristle is that he buys sustain and tanky items such that he can use his tankiness to proc more quills in order to push lanes and kill heroes in the meantime. So the best way to deal with Bristle in this regard is to either completely ignore him, because he really doesn't do that much until he has like 3 or 4 items, or to like 4 or 5 man gank him, including a hero usually from this worst versus list that will be the key part of bringing him down. The biggest thing to note if you're playing against Bristle is that these are the 2 options you have. Either burst him or completely ignore him. Nowhere in between. If you kill him right at the start of the fight, fantastic. But if you go on him and you don't have the burst damage to kill this hero, he will kill you by existing. So the most important part about Bristle is not killing yourself on the Bristle. This hero has really weak level 1 through 3. His quills getting a 2nd level is really important. So his laning stage early is a bit weak and highly punishable by heroes with strong level 1 spells. But then he becomes really strong from like level 5 until level 12-ish. I'd say 5 minutes until 20 minutes is when Bristle tends to be one of the strongest heroes on the map. And after 20 minutes, I would say he slowly but surely falls off. So noting that these are his power spikes is super important, because one of the most important ways to counter Bristle is to understand that you can't deal with him until later in the game. He scales based on survivability. That's really it. So buying items that allow you to eliminate that survivability, like Silver Edge, or simply tank through the quills like Satanic, is really the way that you deal with him later. So the natural counters for how this hero kills you is simply the break mechanic and the anti-heal mechanic. And that's really it, because as long as he's not sustaining, and potentially his passive is broken for a portion of the fight, this hero is completely underwhelming, and his impact is almost negligible. So to note, Bristleback is 100% physical damage. So armor, sustain, stats, name of the game. But next up, we got Broodmother. Broodmother is one of my least favorite heroes in Dota. That is because she's either super broken or super useless. So if we're like looking at best and worst matchups, Broodmother is a single target hero, so she definitely has an issue dealing with illusion heroes and summons in general. But other heroes that are very good against Brood are ones that don't allow her spiders to attack, like Troll Warlord. They could kill her spiders like Legion, or heroes that have the ability to prevent her from running away or dispel her Silken Boa. Pretty much offlaners and carries. Lane counters with the carries, and then offlaners that also create pressure on the map and are hard for the Broodmother to ever fight into. The thing about Brood is she can backdoor tier 1 towers really easily. So if she's off lane, she'll take off lane and go to mid. If she's mid, she'll take mid and go to off lane. And it's all about assuming that she's going to turn this early tower into invasion. So delaying her tower push as long as possible is the best thing you can do against Brood, and having a hero in your lineup that's meant to do that. She likes to poke and prod. She has a lot of ways of scouting with her spiders. She has free pathing, and she can kind of kite you with her nukes. She has 2 pretty solid nukes, one of which that slows, and she can send her spiders in to poke you, kind of like an illusion hero like PL would do. And then once she feels like you can't fight back, she then goes on you, all in with her insatiable hunger. It's important to have the one hero that doesn't die to Brood, the hero that can serve as like a wall for Brood. It makes it difficult for Brood to invade areas because that hero is there. But then the other 3 or 4 heroes have to deal with the Brood, have to actually kill the Brood. Having the one hero that survives and then 3 or 4 heroes that kill her, or at least like a 3 or 4 hero group that could kill her, is how you deal with this hero. Her level 6 is a massive power spike. Her laning stage generally is very strong as well right now, but it's all about the level 6 power spike. And then every time she gets an aura item or a kill item, just depends on the patch. She gets Diffusal, don't walk out by yourself. She gets Orchid, don't walk out by yourself. She gets these aura items, be prepared for this massive wall of summons that you can't kill running into you. The way Broodmother scales in the game is her items. Her ability kit really only does its job for like the first 20 minutes of the game. Her spiders tend to fall off. They tend to die pretty easily later on in the game. So it's whatever items she buys. She's either the teamfight aura bot or she's the kill hero. That makes it difficult for you to walk out by yourself. So just kind of keep an eye out on what item she's building, and that'll give you a good idea of how she's going to be scaling in the game. It really boils down to having information gatherers yourself, heroes that can scout out the brood in return, because she's also scouting you. So illusion heroes are absolutely fantastic. Summon heroes of your own are absolutely fantastic. But then also knowing that she's going to be keeping her distance, poking you down. So having gap close and the ability to not allow her to sit on the outside of fights, and as well as just like poking you when she's trying to harass you on the map, is absolutely the way to deal with how this hero kills you. Last but not least, for today's video, we got ourselves Centaur Warrunner, hero that's usually played in the off lane. So most of his bad matchups will be heroes with high physical damage, especially in the laning phase. But the biggest thing about Centaur is that he also has Stampede, which allows him to be good against ranged heroes that don't like the entire enemy team getting on top of them. So that's generally his best matchups. So his ult can be really good for catching these heroes, but it can also be really good for disengaging. So what role counters this hero? Mainly carries and heroes that easily counter Stampede. So roots are generally very good against Centaur. This hero does operate on haste, and he operates on the ability to get away from you with that haste. And if you lock him down for like a few seconds, just preventing him from moving, Centaur is easily kitable. So you want the heroes that easily lock him down with the roots, but then you also want heroes that can kind of kite him with continuous slows and force him to Stampede. So he plays the first 15 minutes like an axe. He trades in lane, potentially kills you if he has a favorable matchup, but then he's going to start cutting creep waves after buying some sort of sustain item, Vanguard, Hood. It's really important for the mid laner to gank this guy, if possible. Mid laners that gank this guy are things with a lot of damage like Leshrac or Batrider, or heroes like Invoker with continuous lockdown and then the tornado that prevents him from running away. But later on, he'll be more of an off-map blink assassination hero. Centaur has two ways he can play fights. He can either be the tanky guy that walks in and scouts for his team. He'll usually buy a blink eventually with this build, but it might be more delayed, maybe 4th or 5th item in that case. So just note that if Centaur's playing like this, it's usually best to ignore him or like make him use his Stampede without committing. And the most important thing about that is that if you force staff people away from his combo, or just break his combo in general with saves, Centaur feels incredibly underwhelming in this case. Just make sure you don't invest a lot of resources, bring this guy down to like 200 HP, and then he stampedes himself away, and then his team kills you. That's like the only thing you gotta be careful about happening. His power spikes, it's that point where he gets that first tankiness item, the Hood or the Vanguard, and if you can shut him down prior to that, he doesn't have a power spike anywhere in there. And then when he gets his blink, that's really about it. Don't allow him to get off to that free start, and then don't die to his blink. And I think this hero's power spikes, other than that, are largely ignorable. Understanding how this hero scales, it is his ult. His ult is what scales. His ult is haste that is given to his entire team. So yes, Centaur as a hero, he scales with survivability and overall durability from strength. He also usually has to build armor items because he has literally 0 armor and no agility gain. But it's important to know that the game plan he represents for his team is the ability to engage fights and disengage fights. So when you're looking to build items against Centaur, buy the items that buy a little bit of time. Yule Scepters, Glimmers, Force Staffs, items that buy just that extra bit of time to kite that Stampede. So you want to think, I need to make this guy use Stampede, but not die. And that's how you prevent this hero from scaling. That just comes in the form of saves or in the form of heroes that easily pop BKB or are tanky with sustain. The thing about Centaur is he has a pretty flat amount of damage. Like he double edges and stomps you and ults and runs through you, and that's about it. Okay guys, thanks for watching. That's it for today's video. Another 3 heroes in the countered books down. If you guys like this one, you want to check out any heroes early on in the alphabet from here, make sure you check out the rest of the videos, and I'll be continuing to upload every single week until we have done every hero in Dota.